Oh, dude, what the
Tonight, lots to get into.
hmm.
Big show. This is our first Friday show in like
There we go.
4 weeks.
Yeah,
This
you
is what
bitch.
people are telling me.
Fucking punk.
Somebody super chatted last night. They said, "Where have you been? You haven't done a Friday show in like a month." Well, I'm back. Okay. And we got a big show. It is day 14. Is it day 14? Day 13? Day 14?
Oh, no, Nick. You're
It's
the
hard
one.
even to keep
You're
track.
the
Day 14 of the war in Iran, entering the third
went back in the
week.
Wayback Machine today,
Two
didn't we,
full
fellas?
weeks of war in Iran. And we have some updates here for
Happy
you
Friday,
tonight. Some
gentlemen.
big developments, some big and small developments. Big featured story is that earlier today, the United States
Real.
bombed Karg Island. And we're going to talk all about that in particular. This is very important.
Bro.
And maybe you're
For
not
real.
familiar with the geography. Maybe you're not
Bro,
familiar
it
with
started
the
after
significance
midnight.
of
Fuck.
this. That's okay. We're going to explain it. For those that don't know, Karg Island is where all the Iranian oil gets picked up and shipped out. And we'll talk about why that is. There's some geographical reasons why that happens, but for our purposes right now, this is what you need to know. Karg Island is
Yep. Whoop. All right. Is it really gonna do me like this
up
tonight?
onto super tankers, and then it flows through the Persian Gulf, out the Strait of Hormuz, mostly to China, but to all the countries that Iran exports oil to. This is where all their oil is transported. And our big
Oh,
development in the
wow.
war today is that earlier in the evening, Trump launched a massive airstrike on the island. But, and he clarified this on social media, he did not target the oil infrastructure on the island.
He's talking about they need
We'll talk about
try and
why that
take it, or
is.
they want to take it, I think.
This has been a sticking point in the war, actually, between U.S. and Israel. If you recall, at the beginning of the week, Israel began attacking Iran's oil infrastructure, and they were reprimanded by the United States. If you recall, at the beginning of the week, well, now the United States has gone in and bombed the central node, maybe the most important node in Iran's oil exporting complex. What results? What is the change in policy from the United States? Well, again, they didn't bomb the infrastructure, they just bombed the military there. They bombed an airbase, bombed missile launch platforms, and some other regime targets on the island. Trump says that if Iran does not surrender, he might change his mind and bomb all the oil infrastructure. But this raises a lot of questions. Why did he bomb the military infrastructure on the island? Simple question, what does that do? Why do that? What does that achieve? At the same time, and maybe this is some evidence, maybe this is a little
Inventing
clue.
new things to attack so they
At the
can say
same
we
time
won
that
if they
Trump
attack.
launched an all-out attack and hit very strongly all the military assets on the island, Trump called up 5,000 U.S. Marines amphibious assault units. And what does amphibious mean? It means they attack the land from the sea. The same time,
Oh, come on, you fucking raggedy bitch. Son of a... I'm just gonna put it on a different window. That one is fucking lagging. There we go. The shit's fucking synced up now. Yeah, I never did get sold any of them, thank God. Oh, is it doing that shit again? Oh, second. Sorry. Bro, what the hell is going on? You know,
Who is most affected? The answer is everybody. Every oil consuming country is affected by every.
yeah, I never had any of those, thank God.
It would be China. And perhaps that compels China to enter into the fight, not
Yeah, I
militarily,
know.
but maybe diplomatically, as,
I guess I'm just gonna have to sit here
as
and fucking click
Iran's
it over and over.
superpower patron. So maybe truly a
Yeah.
global conflict, although
What in
it
the
may not necessarily turn into a global military conflict. It does involve every country on the globe. It does affect every country on the globe. And every country is being drawn into it in one or another capacity. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to finally talk tonight about Lebanon, which has just
oh, what the heck
restarted.
is going on?
And this is. But you
Dude,
may
what the
remember,
fuck?
as we go to war with Iran, as we stare down the barrel of the gun of a ground war, of an escalating effort to depose the
Huh.
regime in Iran, it is worth remembering, as I've pointed out on Telegram, that this is part of a rolling conflict. This is a perpetual, ongoing, rolling conflict that is not limited to just Iran. This all goes back to October 7th. Of course, the broader conflict precedes October 7th, but October 7th was the
This is a little
pretext
better.
for all of this adventurism.
Adventurism, that's a good way
And
to put it.
that was the precipitating event after which one thing has led to the next. This is what catalyzed Israel to invade Gaza. That invasion catalyzed Hezbollah to deploy to Israel's northern border. That and all of this turned it into
Dude,
proxies ultimately leads to a once and for all confrontation with their benefactor, with their patron, which is what we're doing right now. So as Israel and the United States bomb Iran, at the same time, Israel is taking this as an opportunity, and they are the ultimate opportunists. They are taking advantage of this opportunity, all of the chaos, the distraction, to re-engage Hezbollah in Lebanon. And for the past 2 weeks, simultaneously, while they have been bombing Iran, they have also been bombing Hezbollah in their stronghold south of the Litani River on Israel's northern border, but also in the suburbs of Beirut, Lebanon's capital, most notably Dahia. And they have been bombing Lebanon every day. They've issued an evacuation notice for everybody south of the Litani River. As of this week, almost everybody south of Beirut, 800,000 people have been displaced. Almost 1,000 civilians have been killed. The big news today is that Israel is preparing an all-out ground invasion of Lebanon, as they did in Gaza. And they have actually compared it to Gaza. They said, we're going to invade Lebanon. We're going to flatten it, and then we're going to invade it just like we did to Gaza.
yeah.
And they are currently
They got balls.
reinforcing their different divisions, which are assembled on Lebanon's border. And they are preparing to seize all of the territory south of the Litani River. And that will effectively create a giant buffer zone north of Israel. You may remember that in December 2024, Israel broke out of the Golan Heights in Syria. They invaded the UN boundary,
There's
the
some
Purple
scum.
Zone. They invaded the southern suburbs of Damascus. They began helping the Druze minority in Sueda. And they also occupied Syria's border with Lebanon up to the Litani River. Now, if they invade all of that territory in southern Lebanon, they will have created effectively a giant buffer zone north of their entire country,
they'll get some.
southern
They'll
Lebanon, all
definitely
the way through
benefit from
to
this. So if
the
we don't get
southern
Iran, they
suburbs
need
of
something
Syria,
else.
right up until the Iraqi border. If they're able to take the
Right.
territory or
Take what they can get.
annex it informally from the Druze
Shit.
as they extend their umbrella of protection over them.
Which,
And it just goes to demonstrate what is all of this about. If you understand all of the dynamics that are playing out, and I know it's complex, there is a dynamic in Gaza, there is a dynamic in Sinai, which will require some attention at some point. Egyptian military buildup there. There is a dynamic in the West Bank. There's a dynamic in Iraq with the popular mobilization forces controlling most of the country or having a presence in most of the country, and Iraqi Kurdistan in the north, bordering Iran, where the U.S., France, Italy,
what the fuck? Shit. Fucking shit fucking forced me to totally restart everything. Oh,
hit an eighth front. And what are those fronts? Well, again, it's not just Iran. Those fronts are Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Iran. And the eighth is the U.S. media. It's an 8-front war. And if you pay too close attention to one, maybe you take your eye off the ball on the other. Israel's invading Lebanon to seize all their territory, just as they invaded Syria after Assad was deposed, just as they invaded Gaza, as they anticipate and prepare to invade the West Bank, as we talk about invading Iran. All part of the plan. It is all part of their plan. So we're going to get into all that. Before we do, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Remember to check out our merch store at fuentes.store. We have our America First hats, Groyper in Abundance hats, not this, but this. Groyper in Abundance, Groyper Intelligence Agency. I kind of like this hat. This is a good one. We have our camo America First. That's maybe my favorite. And then we got the black hat. It's all there. Check it out.
yeah, I'm kind of.
If you want to support the show, if you can't get enough,
reload that shit.
subscribe and become a plus
2 minutes,
subscriber, AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month to get access to the archive, every episode of the show, every debate, speech, interview, commentary stream, gaming stream. It's all there, every collaboration going back 10 years. And people are finding a lot of old gems. They're finding a lot of old gems. For example, I saw a clip today on the timeline. People are using it as like a tool. They found a show that I did about Iran from 2020, from January 2020, when Qasem Soleimani was killed. And if you go back and watch this clip from 6 years ago, I'm...
Oh, wow. They doing that? Fucking this motherfucker.
2020, because I know the anniversary is in January, is Trump's last year in office, and I gave this take about Iran. It was identical. Just goes to show. Everybody lately has been calling me a flip-flopper. I saw there's this post on 4chan that went viral, and it says, Nick tells us to do one thing, and then he says something else. He says this, and then he says that. Honestly, it's just like a low IQ thing. I saw that post today. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. I think Asika Groyper tweeted it, and some other people tweeted it. And lately, people go, oh my gosh, he said this, and then he said that.
And they all talk shit. They do.
And
we hear them
I
in here
guess people
sometimes.
are just not capable of entertaining two ideas in their head at once. No.
What it comes down to is, I think Nick, you know, he's not a stupid guy, and I don't think we are either. And we can see, typically, we can see the method to the madness. And, you know, maybe it's not so obvious to everybody else.
thought-provoking and to explore ideas and refine them. It's extraordinary consistency. I don't think there's anybody that's more consistent. My take on Venezuela, my take on Iran, Catholicism, religion, Trump, immigration, like all this stuff is, not voting. I've been doing that for 5 years.
Not voting.
I told people, don't vote in the Senate runoff in January 21. I told people, don't vote for Joe Kent in 22. I told people, don't vote for Trump in 24. In 26, I'm saying vote. I'm the most consistent person alive.
He knows you got to not vote. But
people just can't handle if you have a complex take. They want I don't know, something more.
They want some slop.
Simple. They want to have a suite of all the same opinions. You're supposed to be a trad conservative, pro-Trump, whatever.
Bro, them days are over.
And I don't know. To me, that's just stupid and boring.
It is.
But anyway, so you could go back into the archive. You can find all this stuff. If you subscribe for $100 a month, you can get access to the $100 a month club, which is a group chat on Telegram that I'm in. And I'm hanging out in there. I'm chopping it up with the niggas. You want to hang out with me, talk to me? It's in the group chat. It's going down.
We have our own crew.
And I left a little voice message. I left a few in the chat today. I left a few voice messages. There's about a half hour of bonus content in the group chat today. Probably over the week, it's maybe 2 hours of bonus content. And it's pure content. No super chats. It's just me off the cuff. And I'm a little more candid in there because, we don't have everybody watching all the time. We could be cool. We could all hang out in there. So that's America First Plus. Check it out. Everybody loves it. It's huge. The group chat is huge. But check that out. With that out of the way, we're going to dive in. Is there anything else really to discuss on this casual Friday? I'm wearing my Stanford hoodie.
It's gay.
I'm a Stanford alum. I'm a Stanford Review alum.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm a Founders Fund founder. Yeah. I love Israel. What about it? Yeah, I'm a Stanford goy for Israel. You know what I saw today? Speaking of stupid goyim, you know what I saw today? And I actually couldn't believe it. I was on YouTube. I was eating a pizza in my car. Don't ask me. I was eating a pizza in my car in the parking lot, and I was looking for something to watch on YouTube while I was hanging out, chilling, eating a pizza, watching YouTube, and something came up in my recommended feed. I just want to throw this out there because it's just on the top of my mind here. It's at the front of my mind. And I saw a video from John Doyle pop up. John Doyle, who is supposed to be my pro-Israel stand-in at the Blaze. He's this YouTuber who basically fell off. He's like a serial Trump glazer, plan-trusting sycophant.
This chomo glass.
And they brought him on at the Blaze to do a show, and he's supposed to basically be a goyish version of Nick Fuentes. A goyish version of me that is going to suck Israel and suck Trump and be a plan truster and all that. And that's who he is, if you don't know.
Yeah,
and I'm watching this show, and it's from 2 weeks ago, so it's a little dated. But he's talking about the Skydance Paramount acquisition of Warner Brothers, which we've covered on the show a great deal. As you know, Larry Ellison and his son David, they have been making this huge push to create a giant media conglomerate, which now encompasses David Ellison's company Skydance, the Paramount media conglomerate, which includes CBS, CBS News, Paramount Plus, Paramount Pictures, a number of other things. They recently outbid Netflix for Warner Brothers Studios, which is Warner Brothers Studios, Discovery Channel, CNN, HBO, HBO Max, and a number of other properties on top of that as well.
Dead media shit.
And that is in addition to their acquisition of TikTok through the Trump administration, which we just learned today, the Trump administration gets a $10 billion fee for brokering the deal.
No way.
Which is a nice little fact. And anyway,
how is that?
We've talked a lot on the show about how it's very obvious what this is. This is a coup.
Shit, bro.
This is a coup in the media. And the Zionist Jews, like Larry Ellison, who is a billionaire oligarch. You could argue he's like a super billionaire. It's not even fair to call him a billionaire. He's like a mega billionaire. Because you've got billionaires like Larry Ellison, who his net worth has topped out at like $250 billion at one point in time. And then you've got billionaires like Trump, and they got $3 billion. Right. So someone like Larry Ellison, at one time, he's almost 100 times more wealthy than Trump. For every dollar that Trump has, and Trump has skyscrapers with his name on it, and he's got an airplane, Larry Ellison has $100 for every $1 that Trump has.
That's wild.
Trump is 1% as wealthy. So they're in another category. And they use their influence as Jews, guys like Larry Ellison, to help Israel. So he's building this media conglomerate. This is a form of warfare. This is a form of public diplomacy to build it out so that, for example, they can do things like at CBS News. So Ellison backs his son's acquisition of Paramount. And by the way, who runs Paramount? It is Sherry Redstone.
Who the fuck is that?
Sherry Redstone, daughter of Sumner Redstone, the Jewish gangster, the Jewish bootlegger that founded CBS.
Come on, bro.
And Sherry Redstone is a super Zionist. She's a super Zionist Jew. Just Google her. Google Sherry Redstone anti-Semitism. And you'll find she's given talks, and she talks about how we here at Paramount, at CBS, we use our influence to tell Jewish stories, to tell stories about anti-Semitism, to tell stories about hatred and bigotry. Like, that's who it is. So she sells it to the Ellisons because they'll take good care of it for Israel. And what do the Ellisons do at CBS? Well, they bring in Barry Weiss to be the editor.
You know, I got to say something on that because I was going to say this earlier, but that Free Press, man, I've watched it. You know, I watched that Deborah So video over in the week. Dude, every single little mini show she does has some chick doing the interviewing. Not one fucking male. Not one male interviewer. Not one male guest, bro. What the fuck, dude? That Free Press shit, it's just like, we really just going to be ruled over by a class of lesbian Jews?
As you now know, was literally groomed by Israel for this job. And people say, well, what does that mean? When you say she was groomed by Israel, what do you mean? Right. I mean, Barry Weiss is a Jew. Yeah. She goes to Columbia. Well, actually, she graduates high school. She goes to Israel. And she does some fellowship program there. And she writes back home, I've discovered my Jewish identity and how important Israel is. Then she goes to Columbia, where she starts the David Project, named after, you know, King David of the Jewish Bible. And the David Project, its mission is to hunt down and get fired any professor that criticizes Israel on campus. And so she starts this big campus activist group against anyone that's anti-Israel in their Middle Eastern Studies department. She graduates. She goes back to Israel, studies under Yoram Hazony at his Herzl Institute. He trains her how to write op-eds, how to do propaganda. She comes back to the States. She gets hired by Bret Stephens, a Zionist Jewish neocon who's at the Wall Street Journal, owned by Rupert Murdoch. He comes from Jerusalem Post. He takes her to the New York Times. Then she starts the Free Press with money from Joe Lonsdale, from Peter Thiel, from Andreessen Horowitz, all the Israel-infiltrated tech companies. And it is at the Free Press where Larry Ellison buys her out for $150 million and makes her the editor-in-chief of one of the big three networks in the United States of America. That's what they do. That's how they do it. She was trained. Bret Stephens was put in place. Okay, Lonsdale at Founders Fund and Andreessen Horowitz, all the people that gave her money, they were put in place. Larry Ellison was put in place. All these pieces were put into place so that CBS would not criticize the pro-Israel Trump administration, so that 60 Minutes would suppress criticism of Trump, so that CBS News would generate news articles that shit on the Palestinians and Hamas and defend Israel all the time. Okay, anyway, this is a situation. I've talked about it many times, hence my Stanford hoodie. I see John Doyle do a show discussing this, And he says, well, this is based. He goes, this is based. Larry Ellison taking over the media is based. He says, because Larry Ellison is an ally of Trump.
Oh my.
Larry Ellison is a donor to the Republicans and a friend of Trump. He goes, Netflix, which was trying to acquire Warner Brothers, is woke, liberal Democrat. Larry Ellison is a based Trump Republican.
This dude is
So if we can
idiot.
deny the liberal Democrats at Netflix, which have a contract with the Obamas and everything else, and we can give it to the Ellisons who are Republicans, then that's based, he says. That's a victory. We won. And I saw that. And if you are red-pilled, you realize how delusional that is. It's just delusional.
At least.
You're literally goodest goy. You are literally the goodest goy for the Jews. What else do you call that? What is Barry Weiss? What is Larry Ellison? What is Brett Stevens?
Barry
What
Weiss
is
is a
Yoram
fat
Mazzoni?
pig.
Joe Lonsdale? They are partisans for Israel. They fucking hate America. They are indifferent to America. They do not care about America. They are loyal to Israel. They are Jew first, Israel first. They're loyal to their own tribe. And they have conspired. That's what a conspiracy is.
Yeah.
They have worked together in secret to help each other ascend the power structure in America so that they can help their nation,
each other
the
up to the
Jewish
next
nation.
level.
And I don't mean Israel, I mean the transnational Jewish community, of which Israel is kind of the dual capital of world Jewry.
Yeah, get ready
New
for
York
the Pax Judaica.
and Israel are the dual capitals of world Jewry, is a good way to think about it. And a guy like Doyle, and really every Republican is falling for this, It's that kind of thinking, that our real enemy is the left. Our real enemy is the Democrats. And this is the same story that is played out in all these institutions, like at Harvard. People thought we won this great victory when there was all this pressure against Harvard University back in 2023, 24, and 25. And people said, we got the president of Harvard, who was, I think, a black woman. I don't know if she was a lesbian. Her name was Claudine Gay. It was a little confusing. I always thought she was a lesbian because her name was Gay, if I'm being perfectly honest. And they said, well, we got this black DEI hire fired, and so that means that woke and DEI are dead at Harvard. But who did they replace her with? They replaced her with a Jewish doctor named Alan Greenberg, I think. Some such name like that. Alan Garberg, it's something like that. Literally a Jewish doctor. This is what is happening in the media. This is what is happening in academia. This is what is happening throughout the Trump administration, the State Department, DHS, Department of Education. This is what is happening in all of the institutions. And you have people at the ground level, white people, Christians, American patriots, American nationalists, and they see every Republican victory as their own, or rather, they see every Democrat defeat as a victory for themselves. But these are not identical, okay? A Democrat defeat is not necessarily a victory for the people. And a victory for the Republicans is not necessarily a victory for the people. That's why you have to parse these things out. And that's why I'm so fond of looking at this administration, whether it's immigration, whether it's the war in Iran, whether it's their brokered exchange of TikTok, the deal with Warner Brothers, which was overseen actually by the DOJ, by Pam Bondi. And you have to parse these things out and ask yourself, who's really winning here? Who's up? After all of the events of the past 10 years, who's up? Who has actually gained something? Who has profited? And it's not us. And I see that sort of thing, and I think this is just so shameless, irresponsible, ignorant. What is even the counter argument? I see this kind of rhetoric coming from Trump supporters, And it's a combination of pity and disdain. I think about this guy like Andrew Isker. He's a Christian nationalist. I saw him on Twitter today. He's a big endomorphic, jolly, fat guy and a Protestant. And he posts on Twitter today, there's all these people in the Oval Office wearing cowboy hats, and they're talking about cowboy hats. And he goes, the Trump administration should make every foreign dignitary wear a cowboy hat and kiss the Washington Monument.
Okay.
You know, like how Israel makes people kiss the wall. And you go, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're at a war with Iran. The Jews control the media because Trump facilitated that deal with TikTok and with Warner Brothers. People that have criticized Israel on Twitter are not being permitted into the United States, and you're playing with your little dollies. You're saying, what if the Trump dolly wore a cowboy hat and said, hey, you need to wear a cowboy? Like, you're playing with dollies. You're fantasizing. You are literally in a fantasy world. You are dreaming. It's like Inception. You know, who are you to say who's sleeping and who's awake? It's like the other month, the same guy who I'm talking about, I replied to him a couple of days ago. He said in January, he goes, all these Trump critics are dreaming of a scenario where there's no deportations and we're at war with Iran. I replied to him the other day. I said, who's dreaming actually? Who's dreaming? 2 months ago, you said we were delusional for saying that we're not benefiting from any of this. It has now come to pass. It is undeniable. It is not debatable. It is not ambiguous. Everything you have said was a delusion, has now come to pass, is now reality. Who was dreaming? Who's fantasizing? Who's playing with dollies? Who's living in another reality? It's you people. And I'm sitting here wondering, what's the rebuttal? You're cheering on the acquisition of the whole media by a Jewish partisan, Friends for Israel benefactor, Friends of the IDF donor. Netanyahu vacations on his private island, hired Barry Weiss to run CBS. You think this is good for conservatives? How do you, and then you realize, oh, they know. I think a lot of these people know. And I think they think that like Israel's on our side. They really believe, in a roundabout way. This is what is so disgusting. So many of these people, maybe we think that they just are not coming to their senses. They took the blue pill. All these people started out red-pilled, and they have been slowly led step by step back in the opposite direction, back towards the blue pill. And now they unironically believe, you ready for this? This is the kicker. They unironically believe Israel is our greatest ally. They really, when they see Larry Ellison take over Warner Brothers, these cucks, okay, these disgusting, pitiable cucks, watching in the chair, watching their country get fucked in the chair in the corner, they're cheering it on. Why? Why are they cheering on Larry Ellison, friend of the IDF, taking over our media? Because they think he's our closest ally. They really believe that Jewish civilization, as expressed by Jewish nationalists like Yoram Hazony, Jewish nationalists like Zeev Jabotinsky once upon a time, as expressed by people like this, is actually our true closest ally, that we have this deep ideological kinship and affinity. And it goes something like this. We're in this fight against the left. The left is nihilistic and a death cult. And the only way to beat the left is to look for any institutional ally. Oh, look, there are these religious Jews fighting for their nation. They're nationalists, masculine IDF members. So cool. They're so tough. And they go, these guys, they're going to help us beat the left. They're going to fight and take our country back for us. Stephen Miller and Joe Lonsdale and Larry Ellison. These are the bear Jews. These are the Jewish Ubermensch. that are going to save Western civilization together. That's what they believe. How disgusting is that? You have people, on some level, they know all the relevant facts. Like they were all fellow travelers. They were all part of the Groyper explosion, okay? They were all there. Many of them, not all, but many of them. They were there on 4chan. They were on the forums. They were on right-wing Twitter. They know all this stuff, but they have been blue-pilled and they now believe Israel is actually our closest ally. Because they're going to help us defeat the left. They're going to help us defeat Obama and George Soros and whatever. And I can't imagine anything more cucked than that. This is why I always exhort everybody to take your own side. Okay, it's a pity that both of them can't lose. It's a pity that the non-whites and globalist leftist types that are raping the country and the Jews, which help the left all the time, but they've infiltrated our country for Israel's national interest. It's a shame they both can't lose. That's our job, is to make them both lose. So I'm situated as the third option. You don't have to be left-wing. You don't have to be a left-wing psycho that thinks men can become women. You don't have to be a left-wing psycho that thinks we don't have a problem with black people committing all the crime on public transit or elsewhere. You don't have to be a left-wing anti-white open border zealot. And just because you're not those things doesn't mean you have to be a GOP sycophant either, defending a war with Iran, in the same room as Laura Loomer and Mark Levin. All this crass and cruel and disgusting shit that we see from Republican slot merchants, you don't have to be a part of that either. You don't have to be a part of these sick edits they're making about killing Iranians in a war for greater Israel to bring about the end times because of some dispensationalist theology. There is a third way. There is a third way in the middle. It's called America First. It's called being a Groyper. Not Muslims, not Jews, not non-white immigrants, not Jewish oligarchs. Seeing the connection between both of them, seeing how reciprocally they help each other. Democrats and Republicans are a uniparty. World Jewry is extremely liberal and also extremely pro-Israel. Jonathan Greenblatt and Ben Shapiro can both agree that they support Israel and they want to police anti-Semitism in America and they want to suppress racist, nativist, anti-immigrant sentiment in America. They're in sync, a conservative Republican, Trump-voting Jew, and an Obama alum, Democrat liberal Jew. They can both agree on both of those things, ADL and ZOA. They might get in a fight at the WJC, but in the end, they're pushing in the same direction. And that is the kind of fusionist thinking that we need to have. I know it's sticky. I know Republican voting is very sticky. Whoa, but the Democrats, but liberals, but Obama. I know it's very sticky. It's hard to get away from it. But this is the kind of fusionist mindset that we need. And maybe you attract some people that would identify as left or liberal. I know you're not going to get all of them. I know there are some dyed-in-the-wool leftists that want us dead. I know that better than anybody. They try to kill me. So there's an option that we need to foster. Make them both lose. 26, we're making the Republicans lose. 28, we're making both sides lose. 26, Republicans, because they have the executive power, they need to be slowed down and shut down because they work for Israel. 28, we need someone to run in one of the primaries, I think Republican, but that needs to make both sides lose. That's the course. I see this kind of stuff from these Republican slot merchants. They're literally cheering it on. Woohoo, Larry Ellison controls the largest media conglomerate. That's a win for Republicans. Why? Because they're going to make another movie about naval battles? Don't get me wrong. I love that stuff too. Bigger picture, fucktard. Bigger picture. I know you're playing with your dollies. I know your dad left, pussy. I know you're deeply emotionally stunted because your dad wasn't masculine or something and left you. So you have this weird, nostalgic, sentimental, emotional mindset about all of this. I want movies where my dad doesn't leave. It's like, put that aside. We can make movies after we win. For now, we need to stop this agenda. But that is their mindset. They're like, Larry Ellison took over and Barry Weiss took over at CBS. Now they're going to give us some center-right reporting. It's a step in the right direction. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Barry Weiss is going to bring on Meghan McCain? Your based CBS News, by the way. Barry Weiss is going to hold the debate between Ben Shapiro and some left-wing Jew? Holy based! I can't handle all the winning. What are they going to do next? They're going to take over fake news CNN. And who are they going to hire there? Sean Hannity? What are they going to hire there? Rufo and Lopez? Oh boy. Fuck that. Fuck Barry Weiss. All my niggas hate Barry Weiss. Fuck that bitch. She's not our guy, idiot. Okay, and neither is Larry Ellison. Fuck him. That's how, okay. But that's how I feel. Not to get too, it is Casual Friday, but not to get too vulgar. A lot of people don't love the language, but sometimes you got to pop off. It's like if you're simping for Barry Weiss, I don't even want to know you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to know you. You are a Jew shill. We have a word for this. I'm not going to say it. It contains a slur. I don't know that we want to go that far, but I just can't even, I literally can't even believe what I'm hearing. I see Patrick Casey. He goes, Tucker Carlson is smuggling Islam into the right. Islam? Smuggling Islam into the right? You sound like Horowitz. You literally were a neo-Nazi. Now you sound like Daniel Horowitz or David Horowitz, whatever his name is. You literally became David Horowitz, you fucking idiot. You fucking race traitor. You disgrace to the Irish. You disgrace to the Irish race. He goes, Tucker is smuggling Islam into the GOP. Do you hear yourself? What the hell happened to you? What happened to all of you? I didn't change. You changed. You took the blue pill because you wanted the meatloaf. You wanted the steak. You wanted your holographic meatloaf. Steak still tastes like steak in the Matrix. That's what happened. So I hear some of this stuff. I know maybe all of you don't know all of these players, but these are all people that I have known at one time or another. Relatively young people in my demographic cohort came up around the same time when Trump ran initially, and we're all radical right-wing people, and then one by one became assimilated into movement conservatism. Trying to get a job at Chronicles, trying to get a job at The Blaze, angling for a job at some other conservative magazine or publication. And so they said, these people that don't like Israel, there's something wrong with them. And maybe that's true for a lot of us, but we're not wrong about this. If you're saying that Tucker is smuggling Islam into the right, you're literally a cheerleader. You're literally doing tricks on it. You are giggling and slipping it back in, reverse cowgirl style, with Larry Ellison taking over the media on behalf of Israel. You're in the cuck chair. The Jews are buying the media. Barry Weiss runs CBS News. She's like, could not be a more obvious yenta, could not be a more obvious yenta partisan for Israel. And you're in the cuck chair watching this all go down going, yeah, let's go. Republicans won. More anti-Semites deported. Let's go. NatCon in Jerusalem, that'll trigger those anti-Semites. It's like, what the fuck happened to you? What happened to you? It's the same feeling you get when someone becomes transgender. It's like, I don't even know who the fuck you are anymore. I don't even know who you are. What the hell happened to you? I know a couple of people that happened to. But anyway, so I saw those takes today and I'm like, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know how that even happens to a person. You think you know people. We're all involved in this struggle, united as one, pointed in one direction, total American victory, total Aryan victory. And then you wake up one morning and they're working for the fucking enemy. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. But it teaches you things. Being in a struggle like this, it teaches you things about people, I guess. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I saw that show. I saw that tweet. I see this Andrew Isker guy, and I'm like, like, these people need to be called out. They need to be called out, and they need to be ritualistically humiliated.
Tarred and feathered.
Basically. You think Israel's our closest ally. Go ahead. Say it. You believe it. Go ahead and say it. Don't give me this. Well, I'm not obsessed with. You're cheering on Barry Weiss running CBS News. You believe Israel is our closest ally. So just spit it out and say it. You know, you're so unashamed. You're so unabashed about your new worldview, your new beliefs. Just say it with your chest then.
That's a dead giveaway at someone's intelligence level, man.
That's that. But I do want to move on. I want to get into the news here about the war in Iran. And there's some big developments today. Our featured story tonight is about the bombing of Karg Island. And this is the next big play, I guess. This is the next big operation. We'll give you a little background here. As you know, we are 2 weeks into the war. It has been exactly 2 weeks since the war started. It was initially supposed to be a short war. We thought that this would be like Venezuela. We thought that we were going to go in with Israel. We were going to hit Iran as hard as possible, and the government would collapse. I don't know why anyone thought that. It's the dumbest idea ever. Doesn't even make any sense. But they were convinced that they had to act, and they had to act now. And that if they hit Iran as hard as possible and folded up their military and leadership, that whoever succeeded, the dead leadership, would comply with the United States, and then we could extricate ourselves from the fighting. Well, that hasn't happened. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. So now we find ourselves in a grinding war of attrition with no end in sight, no exit plan, where we and Israel bomb Iran every single day. We hit them hard every single day.
6,000 targets.
We hit military targets, regime targets. We are hitting them all the time.
Insane.
And in response, Iran is using the weapons they have, which are cheap ballistic missiles and drones, to launch attacks across the entire region, hitting U.S. military assets, not just U.S. bases, but also radar systems, THAAD systems. These are the systems, these are our eyes and ears that allow us to detect Iranian missile launches or incoming missile fire. We suffered a lot of damage. Apparently, there was an entire THAAD system destroyed in Jordan. Other radar and early warning systems destroyed in the Gulf. This is why in Israel, they don't give warning times anymore. This is why the drones and missiles aren't being intercepted. We can't see them coming. So Israel's getting pounded. U.S. bases are getting pounded. Our THAAD systems, Patriot missile batteries, our radar is being pounded by drones and missiles. And not only this, but also civilian infrastructure in the Gulf countries. Their airports, their hotels. And soon Iran says they're going to begin targeting U.S. companies headquartered in the Gulf. So major U.S. companies that might have a Middle Eastern or West Asian headquarters in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, that is now going to be targeted by Iran. And it's becoming a very big problem. How do you expect high net worth individuals, capital investment, how do you expect tourists to come into these countries when the airports are being blown up, the hotels are being blown up, the corporate headquarters are being blown up? You can't. Huge problem. And as the war grinds on, as you know, we're not able to stop the drones and missiles. So this creates this untenable dynamic. In addition to that, Iran has shut down the Strait of Hormuz, causing an energy crisis, which threatens to bleed the world economy, cause huge price spikes and energy crunch, You have people wrapped around the block in China trying to buy fuel because they anticipate there may be shortages or disruptions in supply. And so this has now become a grinding war of attrition that we're losing. We are losing. We can't take out the regime. We can't stop Iran from exerting this leverage on us, choking off the Strait of Hormuz, launching projectiles at our allies and assets. There's no way for us to topple the regime, no way to suppress their fire. And so it's looking like we have two options. Either we escalate by invading Iran and collapsing the regime that way, or we de-escalate by seeking a truce or a ceasefire, handing Iran a major strategic victory. So this is the situation. This is a brief recap. We're in a jam. Now, Trump is looking for a way out of this problem. Trump, it seems, as well as Netanyahu, have realized and conceded publicly that maybe they will not achieve all of their initial war aims. We're not going to destroy all their missiles. We're not going to topple the regime. There will be no uprising. So they're having to finesse the objectives. They're looking for a way out, and you can tell they're doing it publicly. They're saying, well, we destroyed their equipment. Maybe that's good enough. Is that a good enough victory condition? Can we call it quits there without humiliating ourselves? Can we save face that way? Well, it seems that today Trump has a new gambit. How do we break out of this unwinnable situation? Strait of Hormuz remains closed. We cannot escort the oil tankers out. We can't even send the warships in because they're going to be too vulnerable. We can't suppress their fire. We can't topple the regime. How do we get out without having to escalate? Well, today, Trump seems to have found the answer.
Nuke.
Today, Trump said that he launched an all-out attack on Karg Island. For those that don't know, Karg Island is a tiny island off the coast of Iran in the Persian Gulf. It is about, I believe, 300 miles northwest of the Strait of Hormuz, inside the Persian Gulf, closer to Kuwait and Iraq than it is to, let's say, Oman. And this is an all-important tactical target for Iran. Why? Well, this is where 90% of Iran's oil is exported from. Iran is one of the major petroleum exporting countries in the world. I think they come in the top 10. They produce about 4 million barrels of oil per day. And that is most of their government revenue comes from the sale of oil. In spite of the sanctions, without the sanctions, even during this war, even during the war, as the Strait of Hormuz is closed, Iran is able to move its oil through the Persian Gulf out of the strait and exporting it to its partners, mostly to China. Now, the reason that all of the oil comes from this tiny island is because of the depth of the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf is very shallow, especially around Iran's coastline. So they extract the oil and refine the oil near the coast, but they can't actually load the oil onto a tanker, onto a super tanker, because the Persian Gulf is too shallow on the coast, so a super tanker won't be able to actually dock there. So what they do instead is they pump the oil out into the Gulf where it's much deeper around this island via pipeline, and it's there that these super tankers can dock because of the depth. They can load up on the oil and then they can go. So even though the oil is extracted and refined on the Iranian mainland, it is pumped out for export to this island, and that's where most of it goes. So you could say that the linchpin of Iran's oil sector, of its energy sector, is actually the island. It's actually very concentrated there. So Trump today bombed the island, bombed it very hard. Now, if you are observant, you may think there might be a contradiction here. Up until this point, oil and energy is one of the categories of targets that the United States has avoided hitting. So we have targeted their Navy, we have targeted their missile production facilities, their nuclear facilities, their nuclear power plant, regime targets where the Basij is headquartered, where the IRGC operates, where the Ayatollah lives. We've targeted missile launch platforms, radar. We've hit all of that, but we have avoided hitting their actual energy infrastructure. And why is that? Well, if we hit their energy, number one, something you need to understand about oil infrastructure is you blow all this stuff up and it will take years to repair. It isn't the first time. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, during the Iran-Iraq war, the tanker war, Iran's oil infrastructure was badly damaged. It took them a decade to rebuild it, nearly. And what happens when you destroy this oil infrastructure and then it's set back a decade is it, for the long term, suppresses oil production worldwide. So Iran is 10% of the world's oil reserves. It's 4% of the world's daily oil production. This is going to put a little bit of a damper on global oil supply. And that will have a prolonged effect if you need to get this infrastructure back online. What's more, so obviously Trump is trying to avoid this. Trump is trying to keep the energy prices down. He's trying to control this energy spike because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. And by bombing Iran's oil infrastructure, it makes that problem worse. But there's another aspect to it as well. If the United States hits Iran's oil infrastructure, they will also respond in kind. And not just from Iran. Iran also has proxies in Iraq and in Yemen. And so what happens if we have an all-out attack on Iran's energy infrastructure? They respond in kind. And they will bomb the energy infrastructure in Saudi's eastern province. And maybe the Houthis will as well. Maybe the Houthi rebels in Yemen, Ansar Allah, they will launch their rockets and drones and missiles at Saudi Arabia. And now, as we have fewer and fewer interceptors and missile defense systems, it becomes more difficult to defend. You're just adding more sites that need to be protected. Now you're going to set back our allies' energy production. Now you have, now you have a real problem on your hands. Not only do you suppress Iran's energy production, but then you also have this retaliatory strike, which will suppress our allies' energy production in the Gulf Cooperation Council. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, the Emirates, Bahrain. Now you got a serious energy crisis, serious energy shortage. So up until this point, we have avoided hitting the energy. As I said at the top of the show, Israel actually launched a major strike on Iran's energy infrastructure over the weekend, and the United States reprimanded them for this, for that reason. So why did Trump bomb Karg Island? Well, he said that he only bombed the military assets on the island. So that's an air base. That is some of the missile launch platforms. He bombed only, I believe it was some naval assets there as well. He bombed only the military hardware there. And U.S. investors, global investors, were looking very closely at the strike, looking very closely at the satellite imagery. Did we only hit the military or did we also hit the energy? Because if we hit the energy, again, this is going to have serious long-term ramifications for the price of oil. And as it turns out, we only hit the military. Trump posted on Truth Social today, he said, and this is from the New York Times, it talks a little bit about the strike. It says, quote, U.S. President Trump threatened to order strikes on the petroleum infrastructure of Iran's Karg Island oil hub unless Tehran stopped attacking vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump paired his ultimatum with a social media post saying the U.S. had totally obliterated military targets on the island, which is the export terminal for 90% of Iran's oil shipments and lies about 300 miles northwest of the strait. U.S. strikes did not target Karg's oil infrastructure, but, quote, this is from Trump, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. Iran's armed forces responded on Saturday by saying any strike on their country's oil and energy infrastructure would lead to strikes on facilities owned by oil companies cooperating with the United States. So most notably, that would be Saudi Aramco, for one. President Trump told Fox News Radio's Brian Kilmeade on Friday that the U.S. was going to launch significant new attacks on Iran soon. U.S. forces are suffering casualties. The U.S. military on Friday confirmed that all 6 crew members aboard a refueling aircraft that crashed in western Iraq were dead. 5 U.S. Air Force tankers at a base in Saudi Arabia had been damaged by an Iranian missile strike and were being repaired. According to the Wall Street Journal, Iran continues to export crude oil while other producers in the Gulf halted their shipments for fear of Iranian attacks. So this is the current state of this Persian Gulf war. Now, why would Trump bomb the military there? Now, that's an interesting question, because you could argue that he bombed Iran's military hardware on the island as a form of brinksmanship. This is a reestablishing of deterrence. If you keep closing the Strait of Hormuz, we'll take out your energy terminal. And this would be ruinous for Iran because, again, this is still the lifeblood of their economy. If you can't export oil, then you can't make money. If you can't make money, how are you going to build more missiles and drones? How are you going to repair and rebuild your country if we have a ceasefire? So Trump is threatening the long-term economic viability of Iran. Was that the point of the strike? Bombing something close to the energy infrastructure? Too close for comfort for Iran? They might get afraid that their energy will be hit, and their threats will not be enough to deter the United States from crossing that red line. Did he do it for that reason? At the same time that Trump bombed Kharg Island and talked about the war will go on for a long time, we're going to hit many more targets. At the same time, Trump has called up 5,000 U.S. Marines from an amphibious assault unit. They embarked on 3 warships from the Indian Ocean towards the Persian Gulf. And you wonder, what are 5,000 Marines, in addition to 50,000 other U.S. military personnel, what are they going to be doing in the Persian Gulf? Is this going to be an attempt, God forbid, to try to take over the Strait of Hormuz? To try to seize the territory bordering the strait, forming a beachhead, and forcibly reopening it, and then sailing into Kharg Island and taking the island? Is that the play? I mean, to me, that would sound suicidal. Because if Iran is still able to launch drones and missiles at Kuwait City and Doha and all the Persian Gulf cities, what would stop them from bombing U.S. forces invading Kharg? What would stop them from bombing naval ships in the strait or disembarking U.S. Marines launching an amphibious attack on Iran's coastline? I'm not a military expert, and you don't really know. I suppose they're the only ones that know our capabilities fully, but that sounds like it would be suicidal. Is that what they're preparing? Some kind of a limited ground invasion? I sure hope not, but I also wonder then, what is the play other than that? Did they neutralize the military assets on the island to prepare the way for an invasion? Or was it, again, simply brinksmanship, bringing that threat too close to comfort for Iran in the hopes that they will allow some oil to move through the strait? It's interesting today, Iran said they will allow energy exporters to let their ships go through the strait if they denominate the trade in yuan, in Chinese RMB. So this goes to the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency, the petrodollar system, that the U.S. dollar is used to exchange oil, or I should say used in the trade of oil. Iran says, well, we'll let these countries export their oil if the oil is bought and sold using Chinese currency. Is Iran conceding then that they might have to open up the strait? Is that a response to the threat? I guess we'll have to wait and see this weekend. What's notable about the weekend is that the markets are closed. And so why did Trump launch the attack on Friday night? Some say it's because they knew the Ayatollah would be at his residence on that day. And so that's when the Israelis made their move, so that's when we had to make our move. But it could also be the case that the strike was launched on a Friday night because then it gave markets time to maybe price in the prospect of a short-term or long-term war with Iran. Maybe now on Friday, Trump says there's going to be big strikes. Are we going to do something daring in the next couple of days so that by the time it's over, the markets will reopen and they'll be reassured, and maybe the oil price won't fluctuate out of control? Because that seems to be the key variable right now. That's affecting interest rates, that's affecting prices, that's affecting gas prices. And commodities trading, it's a speculation on the outcome of the war, the duration of the war, which is all bound up in whether the Strait of Hormuz will be opened or closed. So I'm not sure exactly what the gambit is here, but clearly this is the start of an attempt, of an operation to maybe change the dynamic here. Right now we're losing. We are powerless. We're bombing Iran. We don't suppress their fire. We're bombing Iran. The regime is growing stronger and bolder and more defiant. They held a rally for the Quds Force from the IRGC today, and the leadership is out in public. They're out in public
like
in
Winston
public rallies
Churchill.
and parades. So if anything, they're getting more defiant than they were before. So we are having no success. I don't think we're able to extricate without losing face in a catastrophic and detrimental way. So Trump is looking for an operation that will maybe break the current flow of the conflict. And maybe this is it. Maybe this is the opening stage of that. Bombing Karg Island is the first stop on an operation to wrest control of the strait from Iran, forcibly open it back up, relieve that pressure. And if you could do that, then you can bring Iran to the negotiating table and demand terms. Maybe that's the play, but we don't know. So that's the state of the conflict. Something new today. I know we've talked a lot about the Strait of Hormuz, and again, some of these dynamics about the economy of all of this. But now we're finally seeing some operational innovation here. Trump is in it. And you know what? I will say, in an objective way, that's not necessarily a bad thing, strictly speaking. And by that, I mean, when you're in a war and you go in, you got to finish. Okay. Now, I want Iran to survive, and I would like for Trump to have a strategic withdrawal and we sort of lose this one. I think that's the better option for the world and for humanity and everything. With that being said, if you support the war, there is something to be said about the fact that, yes, in a war, you get into it and you don't always know what to expect. It's a calamity, no doubt. It's a disaster. They messed up. They went into it too hastily. They didn't anticipate these things. But it happens, and we're in it. And once you're in it, you can't always just turn around and leave. So, it's somewhat admirable from an objective point of view that Trump is looking for maybe a creative solution. I don't know that this is it's a bad idea. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this will be successful. And it seems like a terrible idea. But I will say you sort of have some reluctant admiration and say, okay, well, he's sticking with it. I mean, it's a complete disaster. They fucked up, no doubt about that. They're doing it for Israel. It's the most heinous thing ever. But from the point of view of the character, he's in it. He's in it to win it. You have to have some begrudging respect for that, at least from, again, on a level that is higher than what we're talking about in politics. Some people are going to say, oh, so now you support. I don't support this. I'm just saying, some people don't really get it. That look, you get into a war, then you're in it. And look, if Trump retreats now, it's like he lost. I'm okay with that because, I'm not the president right now. But if you're Trump, you want to stick it out. Something to be said about that. Again, I'm not a fan. I think Trump is evil, but he's trying. He's trying his best to salvage this. I don't think it'll work. But that's that. I do want to move on. I want to get into the other aspect of the conflict. We'll talk about this briefly, then we'll move on and get into the super chats. People are saying, Jewish take. That's a Jewish take. It's not a Jewish take. Holy. You don't always have to agree with the fight or the reasons to get into a fight or how the fight is being fought to admire that someone has the perseverance to finish the fight. They'll get up after they get knocked down and say, all right, let's dance. All right. Oh, that felt good. Just from the point of view of look, if I were in a battle, if I were in a war, if I'm fighting a war, that's the kind of leader you want. Now, he's not my leader. He's Israel's leader. He's the leader of true Goyim everywhere. So again, I'm not changing I don't support the war. I think it's a terrible idea. It's a complete fucking disaster. this is going to be a disaster. I'm just saying, it's like, okay, little credit where it's due. Got to give the devil their due. Because I think if it was any other president, they probably would have just, oh shit, oh no, they closed the strait. We didn't anticipate this. We got to go. But Trump is like, no, let's hang in here. Let's hang in there a little bit. Let's hang in there. Let me try one more thing. Let me try this. It's like an IT guy. Have you fixed it yet? No, but let me try one more thing. Let me enter the mainframe. You're like, okay, I kind of, I respect it. Anyway, I wouldn't understand low IQ people to get it. Someone says, cringe. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't expect you to get it. All right. Last story for the night. We're going to get into Lebanon a little bit. Not too much to say about this other than it's an update in the war. So, U.S. and Israel attack Iran, and this has been the bulk of the fighting. But at the same time, something comical about this. It's not comical, it's tragic, but there's some dark humor here. While we're bombing Iran, Israel is also, did you know, bombing Lebanon every single day? Bombing Lebanon dozens of times, hundreds of times.
Incredible.
Bombing what they say is Hezbollah, bombing southern Lebanon and bombing Beirut, Lebanon's capital. And they have been devastating the country, just devastating it, killing hundreds of people, displacing hundreds of thousands, destroying infrastructure. And finally, this week, Hezbollah has started to fight back. And so earlier in the day, Hezbollah launched 200 rockets at Israel. So far, they have been observing a ceasefire. There has been a ceasefire in place between Israel and Hezbollah since the fall of 2024. Israel has violated the ceasefire constantly. They're always bombing Lebanon. But since the war against Iran started, the bombing of Lebanon has intensified, and they've issued an evacuation notice. They've told everybody in southern Lebanon to leave, almost a quarter of the country. They have escalated the bombing in frequency and intensity. And so finally, Hezbollah has broken the ceasefire as well, after Israel has. And they hit Israel with 200 rockets. And this caught Israel by surprise because they thought this front was cold. And they thought Hezbollah was largely defeated, maybe underestimated their ability to still hit Israel. Well, now Israel's not happy at all. Israel has asked permission from the White House, and they got it, to go in and launch a major ground offensive in Lebanon to seize all the territory in southern Lebanon south of the Litani River. They've got a number of battalions forward deployed on the border with Lebanon, already conducting ground operations right on the border. Now Israel is fortifying those forces with reinforcements, and they're preparing for a full-scale invasion like they did in Gaza. They're going to annex this territory and then turn it into a buffer zone. And this is a story from Axios. It says, quote, Israel is planning to significantly expand its ground operation in Lebanon, aiming to seize the entire area south of the Litani River and dismantle Hezbollah's military infrastructure. A senior Israeli official said, we are going to do what we did in Gaza. An operation of this size and scale could lead to a prolonged Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. The Trump administration backs a major Israeli operation to disarm Hezbollah, but is also pressing to limit the damage to the Lebanese state and pushing for direct Israel-Lebanon talks on a post-war agreement. Until days ago, Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu's government was still trying to contain the Lebanon escalation to stay focused on Iran. But that calculus changed on Wednesday when Hezbollah launched more than 200 missiles in a massive coordinated attack with Iran, which fired dozens of its own. A senior Israeli official said, before this attack, we were ready for a ceasefire. But after it, there is no way back from a massive operation. On Friday, the IDF announced it's sending reinforcements to the border and mobilizing additional reserves ahead of the expanded ground operation. An Israeli official said they will consult with Washington on a case-by-case basis. And you gotta love it. So they're bombing Lebanon all the time, and they're bombing them so much in the past 2 weeks. And literally, earlier this week, they told everybody living in the bottom quarter half of the country to evacuate. Finally, Hezbollah retaliates. And now Israel says, well, we've been left with no choice. We were seeking a ceasefire. We were trying to chill and relax. But now you've done it. Now you've done it. Israel's been bombing Lebanon hundreds of times since the Operation Epic Fury began. And they're bombing the capital city, which is like a modern city. It's the Paris of the Middle East. They're bombing the capital city. They're bombing southern Lebanon all the time. They're telling practically millions of people that they have to flee, telling everybody in the bottom fourth, the bottom quarter of the country, the southern quarter, to evacuate. And they say they were getting ready to make a ceasefire. And that's when Hezbollah attacked. That's when Hezbollah forced them into a self-defense situation. So now they say they're going to invade. They say they have the blessing of the White House and they're going to invade.
A world power. We're going to be a major power over this.
This obviously is part of the broader conflict. Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran. But this speaks to what the ultimate agenda is. The ultimate goal is not about nukes. It's not about missiles. The ultimate goal is about territorial expansion. Why does Israel need to take care of Iran? Because Iran is funneling guns and money and training and personnel to these groups. And if Israel tried to push them out of the country, Iran would help them. And so Israel can't fight these groups and Iran at the same time. So what Israel has been engaged in for the past 2 years is a rolling campaign. It's not a war in Gaza and a war in Lebanon and a war in Iran. It's all part of the same thing. It's all a rolling campaign on every front. And so they started in Gaza. And what did they do? Well, they mowed the grass. They killed about 25 to 50,000 Hamas fighters. They killed a ton of civilians, maybe 10% of the civilian population. They flattened the infrastructure. They seized 50% of the territory, creating a giant buffer zone and herding all the Palestinians into a tiny territory on the coast where they can be managed and eventually deported. They, at the same time, went into the West Bank and conducted huge raids and airstrikes, shutting down pro-Hamas or Palestinian radical forces over there. Then, after they conducted their operations in Hamas in the West Bank, they went into Lebanon. They did their pager and radio attack. Then they conducted thousands of airstrikes in Lebanon. Then they invaded, and they destroyed Hezbollah's fortifications and weapon systems on the border. And then they made a ceasefire. Then they took out the Assad regime. They overthrew Assad, which allowed them to then bomb all of Syria's air defenses, their navy, their missiles, all their heavy weapons. After, in the chaos and confusion when the Assad regime fell, the IRGC was expelled, severing Iran's land bridge from Iran through Iraq, Syria to Hezbollah. And then, after the IRGC was expelled, Israel invaded Syria. From the Golan Heights, they took the Purple Zone, they seized the border with Lebanon, and they started intervening on behalf of the Druze in the Syrian governorate of Sueda. Then they took the fight to Iran and the Houthis. They launched huge airstrikes on the Houthis, on Sana'a, which is the capital city. With the United States, we had a month-long war back in, I think it was March or April of 2025, with an aircraft carrier launching strikes on the Houthis, dropping more ordnance in 1 month than Biden did in a year over there. Then it was Iran's nukes. Now it's Iran's missiles. And now in the midst of the Iran war, Israel is using the opportunity to invade Lebanon. And it's like, this is a rolling campaign. It's like Israel's fighting all these enemies at once. You suppress this guy, and then you take the fight to this one. You suppress that one, then you resume fighting over here. What's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is neutralize Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iran, and then it's invade Gaza, invade the West Bank, annex southern Lebanon and southern Syria, and decapitate Iran. Those are the long-term goals. And so this is how you have to consider it. Whenever you see the headlines go up and down. The headlines are very schizophrenic. They're very bipolar. One day the headlines say, we're going to war with Iran. The next day they say, diplomacy might be possible. Ceasefire in Gaza, ceasefire with Hezbollah. But once you understand the whole thing, it's like a long song. and different sections are playing at different times. It keeps flowing. That's the point. So people look at Gaza and they say, all eyes on Rafah, all eyes on Rafah. Oh, a ceasefire, thank goodness. But then they're at war in Lebanon. Pager attack, thousands of airstrikes, an invasion. Oh, but it's a ceasefire. Oh my gosh. Now we're at war in Yemen. Oh, they wrapped it up. Trump realized he was wrong. We can't defeat them. Oh, thank goodness. Now we're at war with Iran. Midnight Hammer, 12-day war. This is how it goes. And so it's this undulating wave. There is a tempo, there's a rhythm here. But if you're paying attention to this very long story, this very long and complicated and complex story with all these different players and all these different countries, you realize it's all one thing. It's an 8-front war, an 8-front war. What are the 8 fronts? Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Iran, and the United States. And once you understand these 8 fronts, you understand everything that has happened for the past 2 years. The blockade, bombardment, invasion, famine in Gaza, that is meant to exterminate Hamas and then eventually expel the Palestinians and annex the territory. The raids and airstrikes in the West Bank, they're preparing to do the same thing. They got Trump elected on a promise that he would let them annex the West Bank. They expanded their civilian settlements in Jerusalem, which basically bisects the West Bank. And now all the population centers in the West Bank are separated by these strands of Israeli territory. So they've divided it up so that they can eventually spread out and take all of it. Trump was elected to take over, to let Israel take over. In Lebanon, that was the war in Lebanon, the pager attack, the war on the northern front. That's what that was about. In Syria, remember the surprise overthrow of Assad? And then they bombed everything. Now they have al-Julani, new name Ahmed al-Shara. And now the United States is trying to get Shara and Syria into the Abraham Accords, make peace with Israel. And they've integrated with the Kurds, and they might give Israel territory in the south. They might let the United States put a base in Damascus. What are they doing in Iraq? Well, not a lot, but they're trying to suppress the Popular Mobilization Force, which is about 100,000 soldiers in militias that are Shiite loyal to Iran. And so the United States and Israel are bombing the PMF in Iraq. That will have to be dealt with at some point. In Yemen, it's fighting the Houthis. Biden and Trump had their campaign there. In Iran, it's Rising Lion and Midnight Hammer. Now, it's Roaring Lion and Epic Fury. It's going to be something else next year if we don't finish it now. And then the 8th front is everything that has transpired here. The frat bro uprising, the plagiarism scandal at Harvard, the anti-Semitism hearings about Columbia, UPenn, and Harvard. This is the election of Donald Trump. It's the State Department and DHS terminating visas of anti-Semites. It's Larry Ellison buying up all the media, hiring Barry Weiss at CBS. They're going to find somebody else for CNN. That's your 8th front. Buying TikTok. That's the United States. And Trump getting elected so that he could oversee all of it. Trump getting elected so that he would deliver. He would deliver the 2,000-pound bombs for Israel to bomb Gaza. He'll deliver the Gaza Peace Council that will oversee the annexation of the occupied territories. His guy, Tom Barrack, will oversee the deal with Lebanon disarming Hezbollah. Will oversee Ahmed al-Shara joining the Abraham Accords. They'll oversee the bombing of Iran, the destruction of the PMF in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen. Trump will oversee all of that, cut the checks for the foreign aid, kill U.S. soldiers for Israel, and he will suppress domestic criticism of it here. He'll also suppress criticism of it in Europe. Spain didn't want to play ball with Israel. Now Trump is embargoing Spain. Trump will not do trade with Spain because of it. So he's even suppressing dissent in other countries on behalf of Israel. This is an 8-front war, and it's been going on since 2023 at least. That is when they started this final chapter. The war has been going on. They invaded Lebanon in 2006. They fought a war in Gaza and the West Bank in 2014. Syrian civil war going on since 2011. So, I mean, all of this has been going on for a long time. The Saudis and Americans were fighting in Yemen under the pretext of fighting al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula for many years, since the Houthis took power in 13 or 14. So this has all been going on. And you know what's interesting? Do you know who stood in the way of all of this? Just a fact. Just a fact. Don't let me inconvenience you. Do you know who stood in the way of this entire thing? Joe Biden. Joe Biden did. Because Joe Biden did not take the bait. He didn't take Israel's bait and fight Iran. He had two opportunities. When Israel provoked Iran in April 24 and in July 24, Joe Biden deterred Iran but did not attack them. It was Biden's National Security Council, it was Democrats in the Senate that tried to constrain U.S. weapons supplies to Israel. They wouldn't give Israel 2,000-pound bombs. And when Joe Biden got in, the first thing he tried to do was reconstitute a nuclear deal with Iran. Go figure. That was the first thing he tried to do. What happened in August 2023? Just 2 months before October 7th, Joe Biden had a prisoner exchange with Iran and unfroze $6 billion in assets that were tied up in a South Korean bank that then made their way to Qatar and were on their way to Iran. Because Joe Biden was trying to make a grand bargain. It was under Joe Biden that China brokered a rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran, which is a diplomatic revolution. So think of Trump ripped up the nuclear deal. Trump killed Soleimani. Trump designated the IRGC a terrorist group. Trump allowed Israel to annex all of Jerusalem and declare it its capital, which set the stage for Al-Aqsa flood, which set the stage for what is happening. Trump oversaw the repassing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Actually, I think it was renewed under Obama, just before. Can't blame everything on Trump, but he set the stage for all of this. Biden tried to interrupt it, and then Trump was brought back to resume. And the Jews didn't even want him. The Jews wanted DeSantis, then they wanted Haley. Finally, they settled on Trump, and then they were all in. And now you see why. 8-front war. They can't fight it alone. They can't fight on 8 fronts alone. They're a tiny, pathetic country of 8 million people. You think they can fight all these enemies all at the same time? They can't. They need us. That's why the 8th front is the most important. They needed a revolution in America, color revolution in the United States, so that we would sponsor all of this. And that is what it is. So this is just proof. I've been talking about Lebanon for years. I've been saying for years they're going to annex everything south of the Litani River as a buffer zone. They'll say they're pushing their enemies back. Yeah, and they're going to keep pushing them back. That's what they always do. That's what they've been doing since the partition agreement in 48, is they're always pushing these people away. They pushed the Palestinians out of Israel into Jordan. They got pushed out of Jordan into Lebanon, which became Hezbollah. Now they're pushing them north of the river, further into Lebanon. So they're just pushing these people all over. And it's expansion in all directions. Eventually they will take Gaza, the West Bank, the Sinai. Probably they will take Jordan at some point. In the long history, they will take southern Syria. They will take southern Lebanon. And then you have your Pax Judaica. That's the goal. They want Lebensraum. They want living space. They want Jews to emigrate en masse to Israel. They want to grow their country. They want Israel to be the hub. I mean, think about it this way. Okay, here's an idea. All of the ultra-high net worth individuals are investing in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Doha and Bahrain and Riyadh and all these cities. Well, all those cities are being bombed right now. And the Gulf is running out of air defenses. And the trade, the shipping in the Persian Gulf is vulnerable to being closed because of Iran. I wonder if maybe Gaza is supposed to be a replacement for these places? Maybe Israel wants to build a charter city in Gaza. Maybe they want to build a new city and make it the new Dubai, make it the new Riyadh. or whatever. I mean, that's just an idea. I think that's something like the vision that they have, where Israel is going to become a hub for technology, trade, tourism, banking, AI, all these things, because that will be the country that is defended by a robust and layered air defense. That is a country that is nuclear armed. It's coastal. If the Emirates is done, they will completely control the Red Sea. You know, Israel and the Emirates are working to carve out a sphere of influence in Sudan on the Red Sea, Somaliland, southern Yemen. You know, maybe that's the goal. It's something like that. So this is how you have to think about the problem. People are too caught up on these little pieces of it. You know, there's a genocide in Gaza. I don't want to die in Iran. The Houthis, we can't win that war. Well, we got to stop sending them foreign aid. What about AIPAC? It's like, it's all one thing. All of this is in the service of this unbelievably ambitious multi-front project to terraform the region and make Israel this like superpower empire in the Middle East. That's what it is. All right, but we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. That's all I got for you right now. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at our super chats. The live chat is seriously retarded. I just catch one every now and again. I like see or read one, and I'm like, damn.
I gotta use the bathroom. Be right back.
Someone says, fuck Newsom. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but the Democrat governor of California, like, Israel's trying to carve out an empire. Okay, but the Democrats. Okay, buddy. That's crazy. All right.
Chobbs sent $20. The guy is about as pro-Iran war as anyone gets to a delusional level. You really think Hasman's POV is organic? He's not an idiot, but his POV on the war with Iran is delusional.
Okay.
The other guy 350 sent $20. Stay alive, Nick. I don't want Candace to make $1 million by inventing retarded conspiracies about you. Byro and Stolen Hellcat sent $20. Went to UF Fishback event. 600 grow ibers there. If you ever speak at a school, UF would be it. They would host you, would you?
I don't know, maybe.
Michael Pruss sent $20. If you knew this was your last stream, what would be the last word of advice you would say to the rest of the world?
I don't know.
Gang shit no lame shit sent $20. Complete betrayal? Here's a blue house and a radical candidate in 28. We lose 28 primary? Blue White House. No fucking around. America First Grow
Okay.
IP sent $25. My bad. I meant where would you want to hold the next FPAC not IPAC? Fuck IPAC. Sorry for the goy slop Mr. Fuentes.
I don't know.
Brian sent $20. I would like a surveillance state ran by Christians. Social credit deductions for publicly watching vids without headphones. T-Bone sent $100. All these people talking shit about voting Democrat will look at the war with Iran and regurgitate short-term pain for a long-term gain about oil prices.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, I guess I'll say that.
Brian sent $20. Is Palmer lucky chill?
I don't know. I've never talked to him.
Got mommy Groy Pat sent $25. Hi. The noticing Groy % $50. Make expulsions great again. Mega greater than MAGA. Thanks for all laughs. Go am United niggas gone. Peacefully sleeping when attacked by a lust demon to completion Groy % $30. Love you. Big Badinky Bones sent $100. Couple cues. 1. Cooler Chicago St. Patrick's Day function. River Dying or Western Avenue Parade? Not which one would you go to? Probs neither two. Faith president before first term Trump. And why? Watched the DDR doc the other night. Almost have hope again.
Ugh. These are all horrible. Every one of these is horrible. Every single one of these super chats has been horrible. Every single one. We should change it to make expulsions great again. Fuck you. Kill yourself. Cooler Chicago St. Patrick's Day thing? Dude, really? Thanks for the big super chat. I'm not helping you. Google it. Google fucking Yelp or whatever. Favorite president before Trump and why? I don't know, dude. Nobody. Adolf Hitler, Napoleon. Seriously? Favorite president? I don't know, dude. Washington.
Baskin sent
Seriously?
$20. In the desert, Satan offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the earth. The Jews took that deal. Their success isn't just nepotism.
Oh, gosh. It
Nathan
just gets
15688
worse
sent
and
$20.
worse.
I am not trying to gate up, but it's wizards. That's your quote from last stream. What a good goy you are. Andrew Ness sent $25. Nick, you're looking very lean and handsome. Would you ever take retired, uptight suppressant fat burner? Like
No.
Andrew Ness sent $25. Nick, you're looking very lean and handsome. Indiana Grow % $20. Black AF hat came in and it's amazing quality. Guys at work love it. Trump endorsing Jake Paul? Really? New level of a joke. Clown face emoji.
It's slop. Who gives a fuck?
Noisy
dude?
95 sent $20.
Literally.
Holy moly, we really could be so much closer to paradise if the Jews had have just accepted Jesus Christ and chilled out. Rep sent $25. Did you see Tucker Carlson's brutal response to Loomer on X for accusing him of instigating violence against American Jews?
Yeah, W. Tucker,
Jesus first sent
honestly.
$23. What would you say to people like Jimmy Dore who have been sexually abused by the Catholic Church? Or are you just going to avoid the conversation?
Was he sexually abused? I didn't know that. Sorry that happened to
Keep
you,
on Camp
I
sent
guess.
$20. Hey Nick, please check your Twitter inbox for a message from me. I know my ex account looks like I'm a bot because of my ratio. Just low key. I had been cancelled in the past. Jean Sarkular sent $100. First time super chatter here. Happy to support the show from the soon to be 51st state of Alberta. Regardless of your feelings on Gypsy Crusader, what do you think about his fight hosted by Dean Ross this weekend?
Who cares? Thank you for the big super chat. Literally, who gives a
Smudge
shit?
Johnson sent $20. I looked up marine life in the Strait of Hormuz out of curiosity and it exists. Green turtles and lots of fish swimming around.
Cool.
I could be your grandma sent $25. War sucks. Can you believe that the U.S. is so controlled by Israel that our commander-in-chief would commit war crimes, risk certain impeachment and nuclear war? WTF. Yes, even old lady baby boomers talk like that.
That's crazy. Yeah, yes, it does suck.
One Sneeko is enough sent $20. If you want your baby to turn out like Sneeko, get an ultrasound. B Treater sent $20. Thanks. Sees America First sent $150. Thank you for giving us going your Friday evening. You have helped many of us start our ascent, leave behind bad habits, and find Christ. Generational run. Nick. Shout out to the Grow Wipers who host Rosary every night in the group chat. You guys are awesome. Good night everyone watching and Nick. Frog emoji.
Okay,
Folded
thank
hands
you for
emoji.
the big
USA
super
emoji.
chat.
Red heart
Yeah,
emoji.
yeah. Okay, thanks. Very, very wholesome. Very wholesome.
Shaver
Thank
sent
you.
$20.
Wholesome
Any comments about the
Chungus.
Gypsy Crusader versus Super Hot Fire press conference? I thought SHF had a pretty good. Ashton Best sent $100. Nick helped me cover this plaza. I got evicted from my apartment and fired from my job for a viral video. London Gigachat sent $20. The show has been incredible recently. We love you, Nick. And thanks for joining us on a Friday.
Thanks.
Boomer Hell sent $100. Great merch. Even better streamer. Thanks for waking me up. I will be voting Democrat in November, and my wife will double my vote.
Let's go. Thank you for the big super chat.
Young Pablo 978 sent $150. America First. He hosted Puda. Hope you're doing well, brother. Sending love and blessings from Massachusetts. Check out this link about Ryan Gosling's movies on Rotten Tomato and see if you agree.
Thanks for the big super chat.
Diddy Sprinkles sent $100. Short-term pain for long-term gain really means voting for Democrats in the midterms. Holding this administration accountable is essential for change in the Republican Party. Be a team player.
Very true.
Got
So
Grow Pet Lawrence
true.
sent $50. Not long ago you shared your vision of a perfect burger place and used a pic of a wholesome Nick flipping a burger. Would make a great shirt. Your aura is unmatched. Thanks for your political candor.
Okay.
Lola Case sent $20. Iraq are the Ewoks. Halus sent $20. Collab with Myron over the Iran war. You and him have been correct in your predictions. It would be nice to have the OSS and Grow Wipers unite again. Glazing Groiper sent
Maybe.
$20. Is Jesse Waters a sellout with my uncle who's older he wants to know?
He's a Jew.
Make it an official tweet sent $20. Please clarify and tweet for 2026. Vote D for House and R for Senate. Number on Guy sent.
I'm not doing it. Fuck you. I'm not
Number on
doing
Guy sent
that.
$20. Voting Dem. I'm tired of winning now. Venom11 sent $20. Voting Democrat. Life-size Candace Owens blow-up doll sent $100. Nick, you're the only man brave enough to say what we're all thinking. Now put down the phone and come to bed.
Okay.
First anti-Semite sent $25. You are correct on the Jews. It's nice to see people finally getting red-pilled. On another note, Buster getting fat. Black Jew molester sent $20. How do I change my name? Allegedly guilty sent $25. Have you considered getting a Jew wife? Goyim Lives Matter sent $20. The urge to hang the Epstein class myself is killing me. Why has Jace Trey sent $50. Fairly new Groy per mom here. My son and I love your show. We will be voting Democrat in 2026 for the first time ever. Thank you for all you do.
Let's
You're in my rosary
go!
intentions every day. God bless you.
Thank you. Finally, a good super
Oh,
chat.
yeah.
W mom, mother and son combo. W's in the chat. That's very wholesome. And two Democrats. Two more Democrats. Two more Democrats for the cause.
Veronica sent
At least
$25.
Nick
You
is
said to vote
owning
blue in
it, and he's
2026.
not like-
But I'm a woman. And you also said women shouldn't vote. Can
You
you
know,
please
like,
clarify?
you guys do
I'm
what
just a
you
seaworthy
want,
little
but
girl
I'm
who's completely
doing
helpless
this.
and
Now
left.
he's like,
GE
nah,
Narrations
fuck
Alex
that.
sent
We're all
$20.
doing
Not voting
this.
is just a surrender. You have to show these people they don't own you anymore. It is time to obey the leader
Like
and threaten
that.
these traitors with unity. Good soldiers follow orders. Vote blue.
Very
GE
true.
That's what a
Narrations Alex sent
leader
$20.
does.
July
Says, I
13th,
don't give a
2024.
fuck what those
The
other
day Donald
people
Trump lived
say.
long enough to see himself become the villain.
This is what we're doing. Zack
Right.
up.
Joey 321 sent $20. We need some Israel last hats. Respect. Lil Wade sent $20. Do you believe the Patriot Front movement is effective and do you believe in its values and message?
No.
Roy per week sent $50. In a swing state and voting D for the first time ever. Tried bargaining with myself for a second for governor, being non-federal. Look them up. Israel first in IPAC. Fuck that. GOP needs to be crushed.
There you go. Let's
Cat on the
go.
Gazalik Roy percent $50. I know she has attacked you, but if your feeling for giving Cat is so close to beating a literal Israeli running for Congress here in Chi, I think we should vote for the Palestinian Queen on March 17th.
I don't know who that is.
Department of
so-
War sent $20. Hegseth sends his condolences. War will be done by April, ending it with an atom bomb on Iran. New defense systems and drones deployed.
Okay.
Israel Maximus NFLS sent $30. You would let our religion die just to keep and try and maintain a friendship with a Muslim? Butthead sent $100. Trust the plan. Vote Democrat.
Thank you for the big super chat.
Hamlet
Yes.
Conservative sent $20. I traded Candace Owens for Nick Fuentes a while ago and I'm goddamn glad I did. This is incredible.
Okay, well, chill with the blasphemy, but thanks.
Sophie Rain Fuentes sent $50. Did you hear about Candace?
What about her?
Concerned Citizen sent $50. It's getting heartbreaking listening to these Zionists like Huckabee and Cruz defend Judaism and Israel claim to be Christians. John 14. It's that simple. End of debate with them. God bless you, Nick.
It's heartbreaking. I don't.
This dog hunts
feel
988
that
sent
way.
$20. I look up and shout, my lord, why are all my friends goyim? Hi. Not a lot catching on. TDS in flip. Unrelated. Got 20 years on ya, but was sent W respect. Stay safe, man.
Thanks.
Cutman 25 sent $50. Trump admin just got charged $10 billion for brokering the TikTok deal. Whatever happened to reducing government costs? Bro really wanted Ellison to have it.
I thought they made $10 billion from it.
Sophie Rain Fuentes sent $50. Candlestick fitting yo. Wizard Groiper sent $20. Hey Nick, thanks for your accurate coverage of the war. We appreciate you. Random question. Do you like Simon and Garfunkel?
I don't. I don't like all that folksy. That's
Fuck
a little
you.
too crunchy.
You're a little too
hippie
bitchy
shit
and
for me. I like
queer, possibly.
like I told you the other night, I like America, the band. I like that kind of sound. To me, that's not folk. You know, don't you know? Isn't there sort of like a slight difference there?
Doesn't matter.
I like
That
Jim
shit is
Croce. I
American as
like
fucking
that
apple
kind
pie.
of sound. I don't know what you would call that though. It's sort of like yacht rock
His name
almost.
Don.
I'm not sure. Is that folk?
An American
But to
Pie.
me, Simon and Garfunkel's just a little too. I don't know. Too crunchy. Too. I don't know. I've never really given them a chance, but not a huge fan. What? I feel like there's one song I like by them.
Sound of Silence. How about?
Yeah, I don't know. Mrs. Robinson. Bah.
That's pretty good, but
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of this stuff I just don't. Am I crazy or are these different?
was that
Yeah,
one?
I don't know. I don't really get into it. It's a little too soft, a little too soft and sweet. I like something a little more
Bridge
rock,
over
a
troubled
little more
water. That's a
rocking
fucking amazing.
than that. Not a huge Simon and Garfunkel
Ravenscar
guy.
sent $20. Hello Nick. Currently watching your stream with Miss Mossad sent
Okay.
$500. The new AF Plus site looks great.
Hey, thanks for the huge super chat. Glad you like the site. Took us a long time. Thank you for the massive super chat. 07s for Miss Mossad. W. Thank you very much. Is that a woman? W's in the chat for a Foyd?
Bobby Hummer sent $20. Yo Nick, St. Patty's Day coming up, was wondering if you'd be down to come with me and the boys for some beers in Hinsdale LMK.
Are you crazy? Yeah, let me, let's hang out in Hinsdale with the boys. I don't know, man. I don't know about all that. I
Spotland
don't
sent
even know
$50.
you.
Hi Nick. Would you collaborate with Home Math? He's been on a noticing spree, is very pro-Y and has a huge following. If you're interested, should he just DM you on X? He's not sure how people do it.
I don't know. I don't really know who that is. I think I've seen him. I might be confusing him with somebody else. So I don't know, maybe.
Interchangeable Economic Unit sent $20. Paramount settled a lawsuit last year for refusing to promote white writers, and currently being sued for firing only white lawyers over the age of 50. Why isn't this stuff getting more publicity?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Roland sent $20. Did you know that John Doyle was literally on the Jewcast to glaze Trump?
I think I saw that, yeah. They think they're like trolling us by doing that. You're trolling yourself.
Cinderblock Roy sent $20. Cool sweatshirt, bro. Hair on fleek too.
Think so? I don't know. I think the hair's a little messed up, but I appreciate
Farmer
it.
Groiper sent $20. What's worse, dispensationalist Christians or Christians who believe the Eucharist is symbolic? God bless and much love, Nick.
They are fucking trolling.
The pain is immeasurable. What's worse, dispensationalist Christians or Christians who believe the Eucharist is symbolic, or girls
That's a
that
good
don't
voice,
veil
too.
their faces in church?
Church. The whoopee wet
Which
car.
is worse, ultra-modernist Catholics or shut the fuck up?
The
Holy,
whoopee wed
I don't,
qua.
dude,
Charles
I
Guido sent
don't know.
$20. American
I knew
conservatism can
somebody
only
What
be
kind of
like
defined.
question is that? They're
Charles
both
Guido sent
bad, I
$20.
guess.
American conservatism can only be defined as opposed to the left, often obsessed with the extreme left. Now that the left is waking up to Zionism, conservatives go the other way. It's all they know.
Okay.
Evil Rice sent $20. Just want to say you're a big inspiration for me watching Nuremberg. Why eyes are now open to their disgusting tactics. Thank you.
Okay.
Robert Maxwell's textbook sent $50. The Jews have been planning the Trump presidency since 1987. Jeffrey Epstein and Howard Lutnick are the main Mossad agents assigned to Don.
Wow.
Pushing Don into Hollywood and Home Alone came out in 1992.
Okay.
Name Ice Valentine sent $20. Bro doesn't watch porn but knows enough graphic details about slipping it back in and riding cowgirl style.
I just heard that from a friend of mine.
This
My
dog
Jewish
Hunts
friend
988
told
sent
me that.
$20. Haha. Good thing you wore the hoodie. Getting awfully chilly out there. THX for the breakdowns. Work too much to get as deep as you do. Super chatting to support the cause! Exclamation mark. Show completes the day. Typical YLL sent $20. What are the actual odds we get an America First candidate and not JD or Rubio? Love you, brother. DeMarco Fleming sent $25. Friday night. Video games. America First on. And a cheese pizza. Am I in heaven? Christ is king. God bless you. Slam 23. Peak Marines are white sent $50. Tricked by Trump and enlisted infantry. Became Groiper, so are the young grunts. Getting my degree and entering politics after. Thanks for opening my eyes. God bless you, this movement, and the troops.
Hey, thank you, man. God bless. God bless. Good luck to you, man.
Solid Snake
I
sent
wonder if
$20.
people are
What's it
gonna
going
do
to take
the,
for you to help me
"Oh,
get into that Groipet group chat?
God bless
If you
the
ain't playing past the
troops
controller,
every
man.
2
Tika Case
seconds."
sent $100. Talent hits a mark others cannot hit.
They did.
Genius hits a mark they cannot even see. Here's to you, Nick. Keep safe. God bless.
Thanks.
Like, I can't
A
believe we're in
good
a fucking
compliment.
war
W
again.
flattery. Thank you for the big super chat. I
Robert
appreciate
Maxwell's
it.
textbook sent $50.
So
Love your brilliant
true.
accent and Tucker laugh. Israel is perfect too. Brilliant reminds me of that normal version of SpongeBob where he is smoothed out and overly nice. Normie Bob. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Gabagool sent $100.
Good job, buddy.
Gabagool
Very
sent $100.
good. Thanks for the big super chat. I like your Blywood accent. I like your Tucker laugh. It's so funny. The way you say Israel is really funny. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it. I love the way you do the voice.
I wonder
The
if
way
he's
you do
gonna
the
do that
voice is
voice to us,
really
like,
funny.
50, 'cause
I'm
that's-
laughing. I laugh at that. I laugh at that. It's just
He
really
looks
funny.
like a fucking idiot.
Thanks. Thank you, man.
Yeah, yuck it up,
Okay.
Nick.
You got a marker or something? Let me just sign the hat. Yeah.
Immigrant Geo sent
Thanks a
$20.
lot.
Love my Goyim TV. God bless. You've changed my perspective and pushed me to do my own research. Thank you for your influence.
Yeah, good.
Cedars sent $20.
Glad.
PPL forget Lebanon is a Catholic country. Used to be mostly Christian and stayed loyal to Rome. Pray must be Maronite Catholic.
Okay.
What a
Like,
fucking idiot. Dude.
dude, I hope it's a tribulation. I hope it's the tribulation. But will the sky open up and fire will rain down, please? Would be preferable to this. I can't wait for the bomb to fall. I'll greet it. I'll greet it. I welcome it. Never forget, Lebanon is Catholic. Oh, so true. So true.
Fish grow percent seven.
Yeah,
Fish
it's
grow
like,
percent $75. Fish.
it's kind of, thank you, but it's kind of immaterial, like to the broader goals.
Dildo sent $30. Why don't you
of
become a Muslim and
Israel.
you and Sneeko can get married?
Oh,
Go Book Knight
yeah,
sent
it's a good
$20.
idea.
Which is cooler, clone troopers or stormtroopers?
I'll just be one.
Go
I'll
Book
be
Knight
one.
sent 20.
He'll be one of my wives. He'll be one of my wives. I'll take
Go Book
many.
Knight sent-
That's a joke. Why are you trying to
Go
do
Book
this
Knight sent-
now? Why are you trying to stir up division between Muslims
Go Book
and
Knight sent $20.
Christians?
Which is cooler, clone troopers or stormtroopers? Also, if you could get any lightsaber from the Star Wars universe, which one?
Okay,
Operator
we're not doing
1776 sent
that,
$20.
please.
Thoughts on Gypsy Crusader versus Super Hot Firefight tomorrow night? Who you taking?
Bro, what
What's
the
next?
fuck,
You versus
man?
Span.
Who gives a shit?
Okay.
Larry Silverstein is a piece of shit.
Just-
Devil cunt sent $20. Bro, what the
Okay.
fuck is wrong with you? Wearing a hoodie on Casual Friday? You're not a casual Nick. You're a superhero. Where's your fucking superhero gear? Men 5
Oh
million.
my
Let's get
God.
this money. Lol. Also,
Why-
who's your favorite
why
superhero?
are people
Could be in a
telling
video game
Nick
too.
how he
My
is?
superhero is Solid
Like,
Snake.
bro,
Julu
shut-
heard.
I don't know. Probably Iron Man.
You're a superhero.
Probably
man.
Iron Man, Tony Stark. I kind of identify with Tony Stark. Take away the suit and what are you? Genius, playboy, philanthropist.
Mhm.
So awesome. Yeah, Iron Man's got to be the GOAT, number one.
Ciagro I for 1999 sent $20. Did you see Larry Silverstein bought
What?
US Bank Tower in LA? Or is that fake?
I'm going to ragdoll if I hear one more. Jeffrey Epstein groomed Trump since 1987. Willie Silverstein just, yeah, it's another 9/11. They're just running it back. Same guy. Larry Silverstein bought the bank tower. It's another
Roy for
9/11.
Forever sent
Yep.
$100. Dear leader, you are the GOAT. Roman salute to you. Thank you for everything. Christ is king.
Roman
Ted Cruz is an iPad
salute
cock.
to
Prayers
you.
sent for our dear leader.
Thank you for the big super chat. I
The Elite Swiper
appreciate
sent
it.
$50. Western Christians are silent while 161K Catholics are murdered by Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon. 1.4 M of our people at risk. Nick, this is a test of who we really stand for.
Oh my.
Big Dog sent $20. I spoke
Okay.
to an NSN member and he kept saying Israel gave nukes to white South Africa. I could not believe it. So blue-pilled.
Oh, like because so they're based.
Stinky had
That's
8 sent
funny.
$20. What is porn?
Remember when Tucker said that? So before I ask you this, so what is porn? I mean, it's like, come on, Tucker. Like, you know what porn is. Let's not.
What is porn?
I know you
Like,
play
what is-
dumb on your show. I know that's your shtick, is like pretending to be dumber than you are, but that's a little far. So before I ask you this, I just want to know, what is porn? It looks like you're asking me what, that's your question? You're asking me what porn is?
Oh, man. Shit was fun.
Are you retarded?
That was fucking.
Or did you forget you were like what kind of retard you're playing on TV? so before I ask you this, I just want to know. So what is porn? We hear a lot about it. We hear a lot about it. Now we're starting to watch it. Now we're starting to watch a lot of it.
Oh man.
What is gooning? That's my Tucker impression. You like my Tucker impression? What is porn? That's what he seriously asked me.
Yeah, we were there.
When we did our interview, he seriously asked me, said, what is pornography? I'm
porn?
like,
Like,
I
what
think
is
you know
that?
what that is.
What
think you've heard of it
Elite
before.
Slacker sent $20
Just saying.
to clarify 161K Christians at risk in the South and 1.4 million nationwide in Lebanon.
Thank you for the reminder.
Moongrow sent $25. W Sweatshirt.
Thanks.
Maxorus sent $20. Anyone who says the Epstein regime is out, Trump should arrest Judge Napolitano and his whole crew.
What? What are you talking about?
Jack V. America sent $20. Do you think that the larger short-term threat to the United States is world Jewry or the rise of Islam? Short-term, Jewry is clearly the larger long-term threat.
That's just crazy.
Good Lord,
Jewry
Sheffield
is-
sent
I know you're
$20.
not gonna
Great show.
you're
My
gonna
Gen X dad is
disagree
starting
with
to watch
me
as
on
well.
if-
By the way, we have to do
I
something
know
about
that you'll
Dr. Herschel
disagree
Finkelstein in
with
the
me
High
if I
Rollers chat.
say
Can you make an
anything
example out of him?
different than
Old
Jewry
Rooster
being
1985 sent $20. I've been told you and Alex are grifters just playing a character. Can you prove me wrong?
Go
Did you
away.
Whithorse sent $20. Greetings from Bryce and Wade. We love your show and are praying for you and your family. Fuck David Sachs.
Who? Is that just two random guys? Well, hey, good to hear from you. Thanks.
Jack V. America sent $20. Is Islam or world Jewry the larger short-term threat to the United States?
Dumb
Rose
question.
John sent $20.
Kill
Is it
yourself.
fact something you want to do again? Any timeline?
Maybe.
Willie sent
I don't
$50.
know.
Started watching 6 months ago. Love the show and watch every day. Upgraded AF Plus subscription to include AI search. Site update is really great.
Great.
Watching your older content. Remarkably consistent.
Hey, love it. Thank you.
Based Crusader
Glad
sent
you're
$25.
enjoying the
Use
product.
this for some good tacos or maybe some fajitas.
I'll do whatever I want with it.
Kentucky Man 19 sent $30.
Do whatever I
Would you
want
consider
with it.
creating an activist organization like Turning Point USA or Patriot Front?
No.
Scoopy Whoopity sent $20. When you become God Emperor of Earth, will you be giving everyone state-mandated braless au pairs? Creepy Kramer sent $200.
Dude,
Thanks for the show, Nick. I will vote how you tell me since I'm only 3/5 a person, woman.
It just gets worse
Straight
and
up.
worse as the night goes on.
Oh my
Thank you
God.
for the big super chat, I guess.
They just want to worship
Since I'm only
this-
3/5 as a person. Bitch. What are we doing? Like, that's just the pygmies insane.
10% of my
Anyway, I
audience.
appreciate the big super chat.
Hey,
Thank
Cooks
you
Cake
very
sent $20.
much.
The chats make me want to staple my nuts to a wooden table and Hiverstendu sent $20. Anglin published his last article today and said he's shutting down TDS permanently within weeks. What the hell
Oh
happened?
no. Oh no. Aw. No, not that anyone knows or cares. Dude, fuck that bald piece of shit.
Shavery sent
You can
$20.
die.
Super Hot Fire was funnier than Gypsy in the press conference. Watch it if you want to. I liked it. Bread and Butter sent $20.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Aramco and Saudi being attacked? Do you think Israel did it? They claimed they sure it was Iran.
I think it probably was
America
Iran.
First only sent $50. Hi Nick, I've been seeing reports online about military doomsday planes conducting drills. What are your thoughts on this? Thank you for everything that you do.
It's like they do that every time, man. First time, a doomsday plane just flew over my house. Get in here, Anon. Happening general. Happening general. A doomsday plane just flew over my house. I live in Saudi Arabia and a nuclear missile just flew over my house. Iraqi Anon here. A Jericho missile just flew over my backyard. Get in here, lads. Happening general. It's really
Roy
happening.
Hacker sent $20. Are you aware of Volt Tycoon, PRC, Hacker Group? They have access to our power grid systems. Taiwan Detergency?
I
June
don't know what
Froze sent
that
$100.
is.
The year is 2050. A massive cement brutalist structure stands ominously in Chicago. The AF logo emits a red haze that covers the foggy streets. Candace Owens and George Droid cyborgs patrol the grounds. There are more homeless people than windows. Don't worry, they're all brown. Are we winning yet?
Okay, thank you for the big super
Keybump Camp
chat.
sent $20. They're paying to drown my super chats and now they're drowning what I wanted you to read in the comment section. I got the Wang shirt on plus Nick getting paid plus false flag recognized. See comment. Wang 1988 sent $20. Have you heard of the tragedy of Darth Oil the Unwise? It's not a story the going would tell you. It's ironic. He could save others from the blue pill, but not himself. Glazing Groiper sent $20. Can we grape Sneeko after the photo state showed of Sneeko? Trevor TS94 sent $20. Are mustaches anti-Semitic? Brennan sent $30. It's sad that your monologue regarding Iranians being willing to die for what they believe will be reduced to pro-Islam prop. Shavery sent $500. Stop bullying us. If you don't send 500 RN, you're a broke bitch.
Whoa, thank you for the huge super chat. W's in the chat for Shavery. Shavry. W's in the chat. Thank you for the massive super chat. Excuse me. Epic super chat. That's true. If you don't send $500, you're broke. You're broke. Remember when Andrew Tate said that?
Pilgrim Proud sent $20. I appreciate your show. Zombie
Thanks.
Grow Viper sent $20. My girl told me I don't want you watching him anymore after watching a greatest hits edit. I told her to stop being a fag. Wayhorse sent $20. He's gonna kneel on the guy's neck for stealing his glasses. Grow Hyperstein the Destroyer sent $50. Kai Schwemmer renounces being a groiper. Thoughts? Disloyal? Or hiding his power level Mormons are awful.
Oh, I'll say this much. Never apologize. Never apologize. You think we would have learned that one by now? You think we'd know that one by now? Well, he's not a groiper. That's what he said. Okay. Noted.
Beardson Beardley sent $50. Hey Nick, it's your old pal. Love you buddy, and for me personally I would never, no matter what, even if the Jews were going to rape me, I would never disavow you.
Somehow I don't think that's the real Beardson.
Meeplemore sent $20. And our alliance with Israel, and what are we? Geniuses, billionaires, playboys, philanthropists. Cutie11111 sent $20.
Fuckers.
Thoughts on Matt Christman?
Springsteen.
Don't
Fuck
know.
the
Francesco sent
boss.
$100.
Ooh,
W
the
show.
rich
Have a W
fucking
weekend.
boss.
Thank
who's
you for the
never
big
fucking
super
done a lick of
chat.
work in
I
his life. Fuck
appreciate
that
it.
dude.
Thank you. You too. Have a
Fucking
great weekend
punk
as well.
bitch, bro.
Okay, that's our last super chat. Did Sneeko? Someone's tagging Sneeko. Is he in the chat? I don't see him. All right, that's our last super chat. That's going to do it for me. And for this week, that's all I got for you. Remember to smash the follow button, smash the like button. Oh, we got another $500 super chat. That's crazy. It's going to take a second to load.
What a dick face.
So I'll just wait for it for a second. That's crazy. I'll just read it out loud. Shavery says, you are actually still broke, bitch ass super chatters. Also, red onions do not belong on burgers. Okay. I don't have strong feelings about that. I'm okay with a red onion on a burger, honestly. I love onions. Love onions.
Green onions, spring onions.
I like them raw. Raw I don't like fried or what is it?
Yeah, I don't like caramelized onion.
Caramelized. I don't like I like I don't like that sweet. I like it to make you cry. I want onions to make you cry a little bit.
I like that fucking.
I want it to hurt.
That
you know, when you, I love when a burger has just like a big slice of raw onion on it and you bite into it. That's the best thing ever.
That is actually fire. I like it with pickles too.
Well, thank you for the massive super chat. L take on the onions though, but I appreciate the massive super chat. Okay, that's our last one. Remember to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. I'm on the air Monday through Friday. As always, thanks for watching. Thank you to our top super chatters tonight. Big, huge, special thank you to Shavery, Miss Mossad, Barfendoodle, Creepy Kramer, Jack Renschler, CS America First, Young Pablo, Titty Sprinkles, Peter Mogg, Defeated Groiper,
nice.
T-Bone, Big Badinky Bones, Jen Cirricular, Ashton, Boomer Hell, Life Size, Candace Owens, Blow Up Doll, C. Butthead, Sophie Rain Fuentes, Robert Maxwell's Textbook, Based, Thika, Gabagool, Groiper Forever, Jufro, and Francesco. Special thanks to all of them. Thanks to all our super chatters. And thank you to everybody that watches the show. We love you. I will see you on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your evening.
Americanism, not globalism.
Alrighty, fellas. It's been a long week, man. Him fucking dragging these out till literally 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of late. I'm gonna try and do one this weekend though. You know, there's enough news anyway, so I'll probably do one this weekend. And I'll put it on a few hours before y'all will see it coming. But yeah, that's it for the week. You know, y'all enjoyed the show for the week, and enjoy your weekend. And always, good night and God bless.